Good afternoon, folks. Thank you for being here and thank you for the important work you do in keeping Calgarians informed. This is the daily update from the Emergency Operations Centre for June 21st, 2 p.m. on the ongoing 16th Avenue water feeder main break. Today, you will hear from Mayor Jyoti Gondek, Calgary Emergency Management Agency Chief Sue Henry, City of Calgary Infrastructure Services Manager Michael Thompson, Dr. Franco Rizzuti of the Medical Officer of Health for Alberta Health Services, and Jen McCarr, our leader in citizen programs in our climate environment team. When the updates are finished, we would take questions about today's update. One question, one follow. Please identify who your question is for and what outlet you represent. And with that, I'll turn it over to the Mayor.
Oki Daranistara Amba Wastage Tanse, and good afternoon, everyone. Since the start of this water main break, we've saved nearly 2 billion, that's billion with a B, liters of water compared to our typical usage at this time of year. This amazing number goes to show how, when we work together, even the small decisions we make amount to a lot. Small decisions like capturing cold water as you're running the tap for hot water to come out or skipping a shower, all of those small decisions matter and they add up. And while we're now on a 6-day streak of keeping our water usage below the threshold, there's also a concerning trend of increased usage over the past few days. And it's expected to be a hot weekend, so let's make sure that we're trying to conserve water as much as possible. Yesterday, we used 460 million liters of water, which is up slightly from Wednesday and also up a little bit from the day before. Remember, it's easy to reduce your water usage. One less flush a day for all households in this city amounts to 12 million liters saved. That's just one flush. Now, in terms of work on the feeder main hotspots, things are progressing to plan in Montgomery, and cutting and removing of the hotspots should be completed today. This morning, we saw a video showing the preparation work, the sandblasting and the coating of the replacement pipes is underway and it's almost complete. Things are looking pretty good for us to hit that 5th of July timeframe. Earlier this morning, I told you that I will be taking steps to secure the safety of our water infrastructure. I will be asking city administration and pressing to find out what we need in terms of budget numbers to ensure we have the technology and inspection methods that we need to ensure that we understand the state of our underground water infrastructure. We've also got an independent review of this incident underway. The framework has been created for this. It will now go to choosing a panel and then standing up that panel. And I'm going to take up the offers of support from both the provincial and federal government, both of whom have offered to help in any way that they can. I'll be calling in all favors, and I will not be leaving anything on the table. And I will be sharing all of our findings from this catastrophic failure of our water infrastructure with my colleagues in the Big City Mayor's Caucus. I reached out yesterday to the chair and vice chair, indicated that any lessons that can be learned from our city should definitely be applied to other places throughout our country. If this can happen here, in a relatively young city like ours, it's possible that it could happen anywhere. So it's important that we work together. With that, I will turn things over to CEMA Chief Sue Henry.
Thank you, Mayor. Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today. We appreciate our media partners for helping us to share important information to Calgarians as this situation progresses. We have had a state of local emergency in effect since last Saturday. At 13:15 today, we renewed it to continue to support our operations to help us get through the critical stages of these repairs. The repairs to the water feeder main line are ongoing, and we're working as quickly and as safely as possible to restore city water. As the Mayor mentioned, we again met our daily reduction target, consuming 460 million liters of water. While we met the target, there was a slight uptick in usage from the day before. We still need you to continue to conserve water as you have been for the last several days and weeks, especially as we head into the weekend of warmer weather. We have opened a pickup location for Calgary's construction industry at the Ogden boat launch on the Bow River to provide non-potable water for construction work only. And today, a second site will open at Baker Park. I want to emphasize that river water is not safe for drinking, and it's only to be used for commercial construction and landscaping activities to help us, the industry, get through these stage 4 water restrictions. This water is not currently available to the general public, and I know this will frustrate some people who are looking to the river as a source for non-potable water. But we are working on a plan to ensure that citizens get some access to non-potable water. In the meantime, please continue using your rain barrels and any water that you collect from your yards. The forecast again has us heading into a stretch of warmer weather in the coming days, with the temperatures expected to be in the mid to high 20s over the weekend. Our Calgary weather has the potential for developing thunderstorms, even if they're not in the forecast. And there is a warning on today for a thunderstorm, so please take advantage of that. Capture the water when the rain does fall, and use it for relief for our gardens, our lawns, and any other outdoor water demands that we have. Most importantly, please remember that the fire ban and water restrictions remain in effect. Keep doing what you have been doing. Your efforts are making a difference to conserving water in the city. A few numbers for you today. Our bylaw officers have had 2,300 calls since June 6th, and we have issued a total of 14 violation tickets that have been issued. Many of these tickets were issued relating to automatic sprinkler systems. These restrictions are not new. These automatic sprinklers should have all had plenty of time to be shut down or reprogrammed. If your sprinklers are still on, you are breaking the water restriction. Please turn them off or you will be facing a violation ticket. With the warmer weather, please remember to have no open fires. Our fire ban remains in effect, and we are out responding to calls and complaints. We've had a total of 159 calls for service regarding the fire ban. With those, we have issued 18 written warnings, 66 verbal warnings, and 5 violation tickets have been issued. The total number of calls into 311 for this event have totaled 7,880. We are pleased to see Calgary businesses and Calgarians rallying around our continued call to reduce water. And again, we know we are asking a lot of everyone so that we can resume service in a safe and responsible way. We are all making sacrifices, and we genuinely appreciate the efforts of everyone doing their part. Every drop counts. I will now pass over to General Manager Michael Thompson to give us an update on the construction.
Good afternoon, everyone. Crews are continuing with cutting and removing the existing damaged pipe, and this will be completed by the end of the day. Yesterday, I mentioned this section of pipe that we're not going to be removing, but instead we're going to be reinforcing along its length in one of the hot spots. And the crews are out there today forming up the concrete forms that that reinforcement will go around. Materials for all of the construction continue to arrive on site today, and as you heard, the sandblasting and coating of the replacement pipes are underway and nearing completion. Welding of the new parts is starting today. We understand that there's a desire for Calgarians to know more technical and historical information about our water system infrastructure. We are committed to providing the answers we have available and anticipate that the review will take significant amount of work in this area even further. The experts we rely on to supply these technical answers are also the experts all Calgarians are currently relying on in the field to support the effective repair and return of our water service. We're developing an FAQ which will be going up on calgary.ca later today to support the communication of the factual technical information we are receiving questions on. And we're committed to continuously updating that section as questions arise. I wanted to share a few examples of some of the FAQs you'll start to see. Some people have asked if we saw physical damage on the pipes as we were exposing them. I can tell you that on one segment of a hotspot that we removed, we did see signs of physical damage on the outside of the pipe. This pipe and all the other pieces of pipe are being stored at one of our locations to be reviewed during the third-party independent review. I was also on site this morning looking at some of the segments of pipe that have been removed, and I'm not a pipe engineer or expert. I should clarify that to begin with. But as I looked at the inside of the section of pipe, there were no signs of cracking, and you wouldn't know that there was damage to the reinforcing wire on the outside. Again, these segments of pipe will be kept and stored for that third-party review. We've also heard a lot of conversation around if there was any indication of this feeder main failing, and I wanted to confirm that to date there had been no indication that this feeder main was experiencing issues that would result in the type of failure that occurred. A number of people were wondering why we weren't inspecting this pipe. And again, we were planning to do a complete electromagnetical inspection of this pipe this fall or winter, as I mentioned yesterday, and as part of our asset management plan. Again, we're going to be putting up more FAQs on calgary.ca later today where you can find answers to these questions and more that you've been asking. I wanted to thank you for your continued patience as we work to update you with this information, as we're currently focused on the repair and restoration of the water service. We're very grateful for the continued commitment of our teams supporting this repair as we strive towards the completion. We're also continuing to check in on the most impacted residents and businesses during this construction. And I wanted to really have a special thanks to our city crews who worked tirelessly on the original repair site and are now out working on the repairs at one of the 5 hotspots. The knowledge these crews gained during the original repair has provided valuable insight to complete the work at the additional sites. I'd now like to turn it over to Dr. Rizzuti.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I'd like to take this opportunity to just talk a little bit about how we can ensure that we're using our water safely, including non-potable water. Again, thank you so much to all the Calgarians and regional partners who have made great efforts to conserve water. During this water conservation, I would like to remind folks to ensure that we are still focusing on health and safety. Specifically, ensure you're practicing good hand hygiene. Making sure you're lathering your hands, that's a great time to turn off the tap, or even slow down how much water's coming out. But do ensure that you are washing your hands, especially before preparing meals and as you're handling any food. When you are preparing food, this is a good time to remember, let's keep our meats and vegetables separate. Keep hot items hot, cold items cold, and try not to keep anything out in the heat or just room temperature for more than 2 hours. Great to think about as we're going into the barbecues and the warmer weather coming up. It's also important to remind folks who may be using tap water for health needs, flushing lines, any wound care, to continue to do so. I'd now like to talk a little bit about non-potable or untreated water. I know many folks have been collecting rainwater or finding other sources of non-potable water. I want to stress that this water is not intended for consumption. We should not be using it to drink, for brushing our teeth, for anything entering the body. If you are going to use it around the house, inside the house for, say, washing dishes, please ensure it is boiled first, boiling at a rumbling boil for 1 minute before you're using it. If you are washing your outdoor vegetables with rainwater, we'd ask that please make sure you're thoroughly washing them with tap water, with potable water before consuming them, and ensuring they are properly cooked. And with that, I will turn it over to Jen McCarr.
I'm here today to talk to you about how to make every drop count in our yards. And we can do this by collecting rainwater in rain barrels and collecting gray water from showers, baths, and even cooking, and use it to water your yards. It's important to reduce evaporation, and the way you can do that is by applying a layer of mulch, wood chips, and stone to your garden beds. When it comes to grass, aim for a lawn that's about 3 inches long. And if you do mow, keep the grass clippings on your lawn. And what that does is it shades the roots and keeps your lawn cool, which will help it persist in hot and dry conditions. It's also important to retain moisture in your garden, and you can do that by adding compost and ensuring that you have a nice thick layer of high quality topsoil. And with that, I'll pass it to Mayor Gondek.
Thank you. With hot weather coming this weekend, we need to keep our water usage down, and that means finding smart ways to stay cool. If you're a popsicle person, make sure you have stocked up your freezer. Or maybe this weekend is a good time to catch a show or head to a gallery. And it's been incredibly heartwarming to hear some of the stories from Calgarians about what they're doing to reduce their water usage. 15-year-old Ashlyn uses an Olivia Rodrigo song to time her short shower, and 98-year-old Alan was using rain barrels to water his garden. These are all great stories, and I know you're sharing them with each other. While I've been thanking all of the people and companies that use water in Calgary, on Tsuut'ina Nation, in Airdrie, Chestermere, and Strathmore, I also want to recognize the measures that Spruce Meadows has taken to save water. While they do access city water, what they've done for the last 2 weeks has been to rely on their internal water supply system. The series of wells and reservoirs is being used to keep their horses healthy and responsibly take care of their ground. And we are very thankful to Linda and her whole team for practicing these water conservation measures. And let's not forget the Cavalry Football Club, those dedicated foot soldiers. They also did their part to save water during their games. And they also issued reminders to their fans to make sure they were being good water stewards. I'll have more for you tomorrow morning at 8:30 via live stream, and then we will be back here at 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the Emergency Operations Center with updates on the repairs. And with that, I will pass things over to Jose to field questions from the media.
Thank you. Mr. Dipple with CBC.
Michael Thompson, come on down.
Can you talk about a bit more about the physical damage on the outside of the pipe? What could cause that and the significance of that versus the other ones not being damaged on the outside?
Yeah, we're not sure what caused the physical damage on the outside of the pipe. There's a number of things that may have caused it. When we're installing pipes, we inspect the pipes as they're being installed to ensure that there is no physical damage on the pipes. After we install the pipes, there can be other construction activities that happen near pipes that could potentially damage them. We typically are very careful around our feeder main pipes to make sure that there's no damage. And so that's why we're going to be taking, we've taken this piece of pipe and all of the other pipe that we pulled from the hot spots to a location, and we'll be doing a complete analysis of the pipes during the third-party review.
Also, being a non-engineer, can you talk a bit about, when you look at the physical appearance of the pipe sections from San Diego, they seem quite different from what we have on the ground. Can you talk a bit about that and just the grafting of the two different types of pipe together?
Yeah, so the pipe that we have in the ground right now, I mentioned I was on site this morning, and it's a concrete inner ring, a fairly thick concrete inner ring with a steel sleeve around it, and then the reinforcing wire that wraps around that with another layer of concrete on the outside of it. The new pipe that we're bringing, that we already had 3 segments in Calgary and that we've brought 2 in from San Diego, it's a completely steel pipe that will weld on to the existing pipe. And so our team's out currently today starting some of the adapters that are required to fit these pieces together. And so it's not just taking the new steel pipe and welding it to the existing pipe. We have to put a number of adapters and other parts on. And so you'll see a crew of welders out on all 4 sites that we're doing the welding on now. Right now, welding away, and they will be welding away all weekend.
So the San Diego pipe is very similar to the 3 sections that Calgary already had then?
That's correct.
Okay.
Megan, Golden News.
Yeah, go with the mayor probably, or Chief Sue Henry. Is there concern that as the weather warms up this weekend, we're gonna see another big spike in water use? We had rain at the beginning of the week, people were able to stock up, cut back, but it's gonna be the first, summer weekend with these restrictions in place.
It definitely is the first summer weekend that we will have these restrictions in place. We want Calgarians to be a part of the solution for this and be diligent about what they use. It's a great chance to enjoy the summer weather a little bit differently than they normally would have. And we need folks to continue to do the reduction measures so that we do have enough water for critical firefighting efforts as well as for drinking water for the city.
And I guess this would be for AHS, but if people are thinking of filling that, kiddie pools or something with some of that rainwater that they collected, it looks clear, it looks clean, it doesn't have a bunch of twigs and stuff in it. Is there a risk for that? Is that a good idea? Is it the same as going down to the river and going for a swim?
So whenever folks are using any container to store, collect non-potable water, it's important to think about what you're going to do afterwards. So as I said, non-potable water should not be used for consumption. And if you're going to use it inside your house for any reason, boil it first, right? You want to make sure there's no bacteria, any microscopic organisms we can't see in there that might make us sick. After you're done, it's really important to properly clean this. We have instructions and some guidance on albertahealthservices.ca. It's also accessible off of calgary.ca on how to do that. But in short order, it's really going to be using some sort of disinfecting agent. That might be some diluted bleach or other products to make sure we're thoroughly cleaning it before you put it back into use.
So like if you want, like if you have young kids at home and you have one of those little plastic pools and they want to use the rainwater, is that not recommended?
We would say don't be using non-potable water for any outdoor activity. So if you have a little kiddie pool that you're collecting rainwater in, children should not be playing in it. It's also a good opportunity to remind folks, if you're collecting rainwater, keep a lid on top of it. Protects your children, dogs, other animals from getting in. It also helps make sure it doesn't turn into a breeding ground for mosquitoes.
Sean Polster, Western Standard.
Hi, I think this one might be for Mayor. We've been talking about businesses and some of the impacts of not having the water, and I guess one of the businesses that struck me was car washes. Is there any way for them to get some kind of compensation for their losses?
We are paying close attention to how the restrictions that we've put in place are impacting residents and businesses. And when it comes to businesses like car washes, I know the team is regularly in contact with them. We're listening to their concerns, and we will evaluate what we can do.
And when you talk about calling in favors from various levels of government and other partners, what exactly would those kind of favors be? Would it be like monetary? Would it be like equipment, skills, technical expertise? Or, maybe you could, have you asked for any help and what's the status of that?
So from the day that we found out that this was going to be a serious situation, I was on the phone with Premier Smith, and she said, anything you need from us, please let us know. My direct contact has been Minister McIver, the Minister of Municipal Affairs. I've regularly been in contact with him when there are things that we've needed. I have relayed to him what some of the concerns of the construction industry were. We have had conversations about many other ways that they could be of assistance. And so as we continue to go through this repair work and get to the restoration stage, we will ask for resources as we need them. And once we get into that moment where we can tally up what the costs have been, if there is money that we can receive from either the provincial or federal government, we will definitely be looking into that.
Sidney Bizard with Rebel News. How do Calgarians know this third-party investigation that you initialized will be unbiased? What are the assurances there?
So I will turn this to GM Thompson in a moment, but what I would say is that I have asked our Chief Administrative Officer, David Duckworth, to ensure that the review is independent, that it is done thoroughly, and is comprised of experts. And I believe GM Thompson can tell us more about who will be on that panel.
Thanks for the question. So the review is going to be guided by an expert panel from academia, the water industry, water utilities management and engineering, and government entities focused on infrastructure and resilience. Our team has already been in meetings with a number of these industry associations and other municipalities to start to figure out who will form the panel, and we'll be bringing out more information shortly.
And to the mayor again. What overlay is there between the previously mentioned drought water restrictions and limitation requests and the current infrastructure water limitations and requests?
So we have had water restrictions in place in the past when we have seen drought conditions. We have water restrictions in place now for a different reason. The water restrictions we have in place right now are based completely on the fact that we can't be using potable water for outdoor uses. We can't be washing cars in the driveway or watering the lawn at a time when we really need to preserve our treated water supply.
We'll take a couple more questions. Mr. Dipple with CBC.
For Chief Henry, just with regard to the state of local emergency, is that a 1-week extension?
That is correct. The state of local emergency is a 1-week extension, 7 days.
And short of drinking water going through that feeder main, everything's all better. Is there any other reason that you might lift the state of local emergency sooner?
We're really keeping the state of local emergency in place to be nimble and to be fast. It's very complicated work of this magnitude when there's different sites to be working with, and we want to be positioned that we can move quickly and act very responsibly if something happens in that repair that we need to do. So the real marker would be water back to citizens and our service restored to lift that state of local emergency.
Last question to Sid with Rebel News.
And what private property is being utilized for the construction repairs, and where is it exactly? Why is it being used?
Thanks for that question. So we've had to access a number of private properties to keep access to those properties for laydown equipment. As Chief Henry said, it's a very complex construction site. Things are changing consistently. I mentioned yesterday, instead of replacing one of the pipes and cutting it out, we're actually going to be keeping it in place and structurally reinforcing around it. And so we are dealing with a number of things that change on a day-to-day basis. And so the ability to be agile, to get this repair done quickly, to support restoring the water service is our number one objective.
And specifically, where are they?
I'd have to follow up with those details for you.
Thank you, folks. We'll turn it over to the mayor to close.
Thanks again, everyone, for everything you're doing to keep your water usage low. It is really making a big difference. If we remain below the threshold, that means that we've got a safe supply of water available for firefighting or any emergency purposes that might be needed in hospitals or care facilities. I know you've all been doing your part. We've been at this for 16 days. I know sometimes it feels tiring. I get it. But it's just a little while longer. We will move as quickly as we can towards getting water turned back on, and that July 5th timeline feels pretty real right now. So it's just a little while longer of all of us banding together, and I can't thank you enough for being so committed to doing this. Thank you.
Thank you, folks.